Now, up next here on France 24, we're going to head to the VivaTech Forum here in Paris. Today, a focus on how AI is being integrated into business. It's been nearly 4 years, in fact, since ChatGPT burst onto the scene, astonishing users with its ability to generate text, images and code. Since then, well, companies have been trying to determine where the technology can genuinely boost productivity and, of course, where it also falls short. Well, our business editor, Charles Pellegrin, is at VivaTech for us once again. Charles.
Hi, Stuart. Yeah, and I'm here to speak about that with Jad Shimaly. He is a global managing partner for client service at EY. EY is one of the world's biggest professional services firms. They advise companies across all sectors about a wide range of topics, whether it's strategy, technology, auditing, or tax. And they have a really unique vantage point when it comes to seeing how AI is transforming business. So, Jad, first off, I want to know, when it comes to integrating AI into business, where have you seen a genuine return on investment, and where has it fallen short of the hype?
Thank you, Charles. The companies have moved beyond experimentations are the ones that are seeing the bulk of the value. And one thing that more and more organizations are wrestling with is how to scale AI implementations and where to point the investments at, which is a big part of the equation. And we're seeing that returns are mainly hidden in between functions. While many organizations are working through their AI implementations within functions, and the use cases are within functions, the bulk of the returns, actually close to 70 to 75% of the returns, are hidden in between functions. It becomes very important for companies to look at their workflows and where the value is hidden, and make sure that they're pointing their AI investments across functions, not just within functions. That would be the first element. The second element is more around truly understanding the costs, right? Because you're going to get the returns, but truly understanding the costs. And a few months ago, you and I were just talking, it was mainly about tokens and token optimization. And the way I look at it is that optimizing token expenses or operating expenses is like running a factory and optimizing your electricity bill. There are so many other costs that are applied to AI, whether it's subscription, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's change management, risk, price of failure, and all these elements need to be well understood, and eventually the returns and the cost structure needs to be connected to the financial statements. We see that less than 15% of companies that are experimenting with AI are not linking the results of the experiments to financial statements, and by default they're missing a big part of what the true value and outcomes of AI are. And speaking of all of this, without really understanding the impact on the workforce and how do you upskill the workforce, is a big part as well of the equation. So returns, cost, workforce, in a comprehensive way.
I want to bounce around that idea of the workforce, because I've spoken to many executives who've told me that the real value of AI is in augmenting what experienced workers are able to do, because they're able to assess, to interpret, and to say whether what the AI is doing is actually correct or not. But this leads me to this question: what happens to junior workers who are getting into a company and who used to be given the tasks that we're now delegating to AI? Where's the entry point for a junior worker who's starting his career?
I can completely relate, not because I'm young by any means, but because we do hire a lot of junior workers on employees on a regular basis. And the key point to understand about the incoming class is that they're AI native. While many of us are trying to wrestle and understand the true implications of AI, the junior or anyone graduating now, they're AI native. And by default, they have a big role to play in helping organizations better scale, better leverage AI. And at the same time, the key point that I'd like to talk about anyone looking for a job now or getting into the workforce is that they need to be curious, because historically it took us a year or 2 years to understand one part of the business. Now what we're seeing is, because AI is complementing a big part of what the employees are focusing on, is that they have the opportunity to get a much broader understanding of how our organizations work and not truly spend a year, 2 years, 3 years on one part of the business, but spend a few months and really understand what the implications of technology or what the organizational structure means and what these processes mean. But for that, employees need to be curious. The way I talk about it as well is that all along we've been talking about having processes, having technology, but at the same time having humans in the loop. Now the loop is getting bigger and bigger and bigger because the breadth of what an employee touches, because they're complemented by AI, is getting much broader. And by default, they have an opportunity to learn more, be much more curious, and by default having a much bigger impact on themselves, but also on organizations and their coworkers.
I want to end on another topic entirely. The European Union has perhaps the most ambitious framework when it comes to regulating AI in the AI Act, but its implementation has been delayed. It's been stop and start in a way. What does that tell you about Europe's approach to this? Are they encouraging innovation while balancing the need for, safety?
When it comes to Europe and the regulatory framework in Europe, many look at it as a trade-off between innovation and oversight. But there's a huge opportunity for Europe to take that challenge and set the right framework, the right foundations to allow for AI to scale in a responsible, trusted, transparent way. And with all the geopolitical fragmentation we're seeing in the world, organizations are looking for, not just organizations actually, even societies and countries are looking for someone to provide the foundation and of the trusted framework that then we could all leverage to make sure that we're enabled to scale AI in a most trusted, responsible way. And Europe has a huge opportunity now, not to drive a competitive advantage based on speed, even though Europe does need to accelerate the pace, but more to drive the trusted element and aspect of AI and make sure that they're setting the tone. Europe is setting the tone for what the global organizations need to follow through. So we provide the right level of comfort to make sure that our future is well-proofed and in good hands.
Jad Shimaly, you are EY's global managing partner for client service. Thank you for sharing your insights here on France 24. And on that, Stuart, I'm going to hand it back to you in the studio.
Charles, thanks very much. Sean Pellegrin there joining us live from VivaTech, of course.